One and all, and welcome to Simon's Trading Channel. Happy Friday to you. Hope you're all well and you've had a great day and you're looking forward to your weekend. This is the CME weekly chart. And I'm going to get straight on with the price action of the mighty Bitcoin. Now, it's pretty interesting. There's such symmetry going on here, basically from the summer of, really since spring 2023. And if I reference this weekly section on CME, you can see it's basically a 9-week spread, give or take. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9-week spread with a test close to the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. And then following that, a rather bullish candle a couple of weeks later, followed by follow through to the upside, and then a prolonged period of consolidation. And lo and behold, this is the CME previous 8 weeks or 9 weeks. So it depends when you kind of think that it's set in the range, probably here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the 7th week. If you take it from there, that's set in the range 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's very similar time period with a similar structure where the last week's low point, the wick, did come pretty close to the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, and now it looks like there's going to be a weekly closure, potentially above the top of the range, and that could well lead to the impulsive move to the upside on a weekly time frame that everyone is looking for. So a very symmetrical chart on CME over the last couple of years. However, not quite there yet. As I pointed out yesterday, I don't want to see personally a weekly closure below last week's open on CME, which is somewhere around 105. Like, it's quite hard to get the cursor right on it, but somewhere around 105. And you can see with 2 hours left, looks like CME will close above that. It's not a particularly bullish candle, but it certainly looks like it's going to set up some interesting price action for the next few weeks into February. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about CME's closure, which is coming up, weekly closure coming up in 2 hours' time. You can see momentum is still to the upside. Now, for the lower time frames, I'm going to switch over to perpetual exchanges, and you can see here the daily on Bitstamp. Now, the significance really of the last week has been that price action has lived above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band. And the reason why that's significant is if you look at this period of consolidation, which goes back to the last week in November, so you can see the impulsive move that basically started, it put in a higher high here. Might be clearer. No, I need a Bollinger Band on. But see this price action here, it was higher just about than this high here, which meant that this was the local low. So at that point, you got a higher high and you got a local low. So what you want then for trend confirmation of an uptrend is a higher low. And I remember talking to you all about this looking like a double bottom, which will probably lead to more upside price action, and that will then be a higher low compared to this one. So then you have a low, a higher high, a higher low, and then the trend is established. And you can see how price then moved pretty aggressively to the upside, having established this trend to the upside. And it pretty much lived above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band all the way up to here. And then it's been oscillating around only like a test to the bottom, test to the top, test to the bottom, and then another test to the top. What may be different about this test to the top is that it has indeed got above this high, so that's a higher high. Technically on the daily, it hasn't really put in a higher low yet. But to obey the sort of trending move using the Bollinger Band as a reference point, which I like to do, as you know, Bitcoin's just got to stay above 100K. And as long as it does that, then it's very likely that this uptrend will continue. And so that's the line in the sand for the uptrend to continue. There's 100K on the daily time frame, specifically the daily time frame. But it doesn't matter, in my opinion, if it doesn't do that. It just means more consolidation. The more consolidation could come in the form of another test of the lows. But what I'd like to see, if it does that, is a higher low. And I think a higher low on the daily time frame needs to not close below, well, slightly arbitrary, but 95. Like, I wouldn't want to see any daily closures below 95, but I don't really want to see any daily closures below 100K. I hope I've made myself relatively clear. Now, from a momentum point of view, yep, still to the upside. It's not a strong move yet. It's not a very impulsive move, but you can see it'll continue with upside posturing as long as Bitcoin's closing daily is above 103.5, which it's a fair distance away from at the moment. The 4 hour. So the 4 hour is still in this little consolidation zone, if you like, for want of a better phrase, that I pointed out yesterday. I don't want to make the chart too cluttered, but if I take off the Bollinger Band basically highlights it quite nicely. But if you prefer, you could draw this as more of a wedge. So you could draw a bit of a trend line like this, picking out the lows, and I could draw a trend line, something like this, roughly picking out the highs. So that is obviously buying pressure up against resistance. So it's buying pressure, knocking its head up against an area of resistance. It's never a line, so you can draw it. I draw them as lines, but they're never just lines. Clearly, they're areas. And so to really stamp its authority on this section of 4 hour price action, Bitcoin needs to start closing 4 hours back above 108, basically. It hasn't quite done that yet, but it is looking bullish nonetheless. If I put the Bollinger Band back on, you can see that it's living above the midpoint, and the midpoint's coming in at 104.5. So if volatility does expand on this 4 hour, it's more likely to give rise to an upside move as long as Bitcoin's closing 4 hours above 104.5. Momentum has also got close to the zero line on the 4 hour, but has turned back up. And it has the same kind of pivot point. So 104.5 to stay green and 104.5 to stay above the midpoint, so that when volatility does expand, it'll be a price move to the upside. The counter is also true. So if Bitcoin closes below 104.5, then probably a move back down closer to a sort of 102, i.e. just more consolidation. All right, there we go. That's the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If so, please like and subscribe and join me after the weekend. And have a great time. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.